Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second webinar about the second adopters open call under the Pulsate project. So in the first webinar, we focused on the open call basics. Today, we want to tell you more about what kind of support you can receive under adopters support program, and we want to say also a few words about the adoption of laser-based advanced and additive manufacturing technologies. So the plan for today's webinar is to briefly remind you who the second open call for adopters is, what needs to be done if you want to apply and how to apply. Then we'll go through the assessment support, how it's going to be implemented under the support program, and then we'll have some time for questions and answers. My name is Maria Karpilowska. I'm project manager at Funding Box, and today Tian from MTC joins me to tell you more about LBAAM technologies. Tian, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. Thanks, Maria, for the introduction. So good morning, everyone. My name is Tian Long Si, and I'm the product development manager for the laser processing group here at the MTC. So my background is in laser surface processing, mainly looking at technologies around laser texturing, cleaning, polishing, etc., predominantly using them to create functional surfaces for various different applications. So hopefully today I will be able to give you some more insights into the possible implementation or application areas using laser-based technologies, and that should hopefully help you to kickstart some of your ideas and brainstorming activities internally.
Great, thank you very much, Tian. Okay, so just to present to everyone the Pulsate project very briefly. So the main goal of the Pulsate project is to set up and consolidate a pan-European open network to promote and facilitate the adoption of laser-based technologies by European companies, SMEs and mid-caps. And the network is going to integrate the activities and the know-how of various kinds of organizations, such as digital innovation hubs, competence centers, public institutions, and other entities, and also SMEs and mid-caps joining the network. So the goal of the platform of the network is to survive the project, to be sustainable after the project lifetime, which is something we are working on now very hard. And also to this end, we have already created a catalog of services for laser-based advanced and additive manufacturing technologies, which can be found on the Pulsate network website. Who is behind the Pulsate project? We are a consortium of 9 entities, 6 of which are competence centers, research organizations focused very much on laser-based technologies and additive manufacturing. So we have IMAN from Spain, SINTEF from Norway, CA from France, from Germany, Fraunhofer, FTMC, so the Center for Physical Sciences and Technology from Lithuania, and Manufacturing Technology Center, MTC, from the UK, Funding Box, and these are the organizations that actually provide direct support to Pulsate program participants we are going to come back to what kind of support you can receive from those organizations later on during this webinar. Funding Box is responsible for managing open calls mainly. EPIC is our partner who deals with dissemination. And Glasgow, also a key player in Pulsate, is the one building and maintaining the Pulsate network platform. So as I said, the main goal of Pulsate is to set up an open and sustainable network to promote and facilitate the uptake of laser-based technologies. So how do we address this goal in the project? One of the ways we do that is through the open calls. So under the whole Pulsate project, we've had 4 open calls. We provide support to 62 projects, and we support them with just over 4 million euro funding. You can find more information about Pulsate calls under this address that you can see at the bottom of the screen. And also, just to tell you very briefly, we've had 2 modalities of the open call for technology transfer experiments, which is not available any longer. The open call and support programs are closed now. And the second modality we are focusing now on is the adopters use cases open call. The first open call and support program finished as well. And the current opportunity, the last one under Pulsate, is the second open call for adopters use cases. So who can apply? SMEs or slightly bigger companies, individual applications. So companies who want to perform a technical and economic feasibility study for the implementation of laser-based technology. The funding available is up to 25,000 euros, and the duration of the support program is 3 months. So just to give you a bit more details on who, what, and how. So the open call is for technology adopters, end users, or otherwise manufacturing companies. So how do we define a technology adopter or end user? So this is an entity that deals with transformation of materials or components into new products, physical or chemical transformation, right? So this is the profile of technology adopter. In terms of the legal status requirements, what kind of companies are eligible? SMEs or slightly bigger companies. So the criteria to take into account here are headcount in annual work unit. So it has to be less than 500, and annual turnover less or equal to 100 million euro, or annual balance sheet total less or equal to 86 million euro. You will find all those details, of course, in the guide for applicants that is available on Pulsate adopters open call website. And if I can ask my colleague Delia to paste the address of the landing page in the chat. Delia, if you could paste that, that would be great. So these are the legal requirements. Another one is that you will need to have a clear idea of how you'd like to implement laser technology into your production or business environment or business model. So you need to have some kind of idea of how that needs to be applied. Why? Because we will ask you to describe this in your proposal, okay, in the application form. So you'll need to describe the ambition of this application, challenges, risks, initial plan, scope of support you will need, and so on. And of course, the last criterion, if you decide to apply, your company needs to be registered in one of the EU member states or associated countries, or the UK, which is also an eligible country for this open call. One very important thing also to take into consideration when you apply is that Pulsate is a project under a much bigger initiative called I4MS, and therefore there are some funding limits. So if you have already received funding under different Pulsate open calls or other I4MS or Smart Everything Anywhere projects, you need to take into consideration that with the funding received under the last Pulsate open call, you may not go above 100,000 euro of funding received. Okay, so in all I4MS, Pulsate, and CA open calls, this is the funding limit, 100,000 euros. Okay, and now how to apply? Of course, we have a dedicated website for that. You can see the address at on top of the screen here. When you go there, you'll see that this landing page has some other sections, also read first and get help sections. We'll get to that in a minute. But this is the page where you will find all the information, all the documents, all you need to know, and also the link to the submission system. Okay, we do not accept submissions by any other ways than this online platform. And the deadline for the submissions is the 30th of June, 5 p.m. Central European Summer Time, so Brussels time. Okay, what can you find in the read first section? So this is the section we strongly recommend going to and reading all you can find there before you apply. So first of all, the guide for applicants, which is a must-read document for every applicant, where you'll find all the eligibility criteria, information about how we evaluate your proposal, what are the phases of the selection process, and so on. All the information which cannot be found in the guide for applicants will be found, I hope, in frequently asked questions document. So if you have any additional questions, please consult frequently asked questions document first. Okay. Then here you can see application form overview. So this is just a reference document for you, so you can see what the application form looks like. You can prepare that offline in advance, but as I said before, the applications must be submitted through the online form. One more document you can see here. This is the budget template. It's an Excel file. It's a template prepared where we ask you to include the budget for the assessment support. Once you complete this Excel file, you will need to upload it as a PDF in the budget section of the application form. And the last document we are going to add soon is the draft of the sub-grant agreement. So once a company is accepted into the program, it will be signing a sub-grant agreement with Pulsate Consortium Coordinator, IMEN. And here you will find soon the draft of this document. Okay. About the selection process, it's got a few phases. As I said, you'll find the detailed description, the guide for applicants, and also frequently asked questions document. So the first phase is the eligibility check. So we check where we review the eligibility criteria for every application, and then the next phase, which takes a few weeks, is the expert evaluation. So each application is evaluated by 2 external experts, independent of the Pulsate consortium, who assess 3 criteria of your application form: excellence, impact, and implementation. After expert evaluation, the Pulsate consortium meets to decide about the list of pre-selected applicants. Pre-selected applicants go through the legal check, where we review very carefully and thoroughly your SME and slightly bigger status. So once you declare your SME or slightly bigger status in the application form, we take it as it is, but then our legal team asks for documents to confirm this status. And the last stage is the subgrant agreement signature. About the criteria evaluated by external and independent experts. There are 3: excellence, impact, and implementation. We talked a bit more about those criteria in the first webinar. Today, we would like to focus a bit more on the 3rd criterion, implementation, because this is where we ask you to indicate what kind of support you will require from Pulsate consortium. And we would also like to draw your attention today to where you can find the catalog of services or consultings available from Pulsate partners, and how you can refer to them in your application form. So first of all the reference material can be found at the Pulsate network website, which is at pulsate.eu. So this is the address of Pulsate network website. And there you will find a catalog, of services available from Pulsate consortium partners. Okay, and this is what we ask you to refer to in your application form. So from IMAN Technology Center, without going into too much technical details, the services you may request from IMAN are exploring functional texture on simple component, developing laser cladding processes for high added value pieces, and you can find a detailed description of those services under this link here. Then from Center for Physical Sciences and Technology, the Lithuanian based research center, we have business development support in process development, product development, access to infrastructure, and just like in the previous case, you can find a detailed description at Pulsate network website. From SINTEF, the Norwegian institutes, you can see the catalog of services available here, developing advanced PBF additive manufacturing processes, fast-track material screening, development and testing, 3D reconstruction from in-situ sensor data, and building applications based on SISL or Go tools. Okay, and from MTC, if needed, I'm sure Tian will be able to elaborate on that. We've got a series of consultancies available on material joining with laser-based technology, advanced machining with laser-based technology, surface engineering, also accelerating in general the uptake of additive manufacturing and laser surface texturing development and supply chain enablement. So for completing the implementation criterion, you will need let's say 3 bullet points. You will need to describe the team that will be assigned to the assessment support under Pulsate. You will need to complete the budgets templates and upload it as a PDF. But you also need to tell us what kind of support you will need from Pulsate Consortium. And for that, please go to pulsate.eu, and the addresses you can see here. We have two more competence centers who are also able to provide you with certain consultancies, CA and Fraunhofer, CA from France and Fraunhofer from Germany. And you'll find a very detailed description of what the institutes that the research centers are dealing with. And from this description, I'm sure you will also be able to see what kind of support you can get from those two partners. About the budgets, as we said, the maximum funding available under this support program for adopters for the assessment support is 25,000 euros. But how to calculate that? Well, you need to take into account personal costs, travel costs and consumables if necessary to complete the assessment. And of course, you will use cost preferences and amounts according to your local internal best practices, but you can also check cost preferences and example of the experiment budget in the frequently asked questions document. There is a whole section referring to how to complete that. Then the fourth cost category is overheads, and for this we use the flat rate of 25% for personal, travel and consumables together. Subcontracting is also possible, but here the limit is maximum 15% of the total amount of all the previous cost categories. Why do we have this limit? Because we want to make sure that the assessment will be performed by the company who applied for funding under Pulsate and not by a subcontractor. Then you calculate the total costs for all these 5 cost categories, and a very important thing, the amount you request, the maximum amount you can request is 70% of the total costs. Okay, so and of course the funding limits are, as we said before, up to 25,000 euro and up to 100,000 euro if you have received some funding previously from Pulsate, IFRMS, other IFRMS projects, or SAE open calls. And please, for calculating the budget, please use the budget template provided in the Read First section. The budget template is built the way that it will calculate the 70% for the requested amount. If the 70% of requested amount is above 25k euro, the total you request will be capped at 25,000 euro. If the requested amount, so 70% of total costs, is below 25,000 euro, then we know that this is the amount you request below 25k euro. Okay. So what are the next steps after the open call? The deadline is the 30th of June, 5 p.m. As we said before. Then the whole selection process will take a while because we need to go through the eligibility check. We need to give the external independent experts a few weeks to evaluate all the proposals. And then we also need to give some time to Pulsate consortium members to prepare for the consensus meeting. And after the consensus meeting, also a very time-consuming process, formal check, legal check to confirm your SME or slightly bigger status. That's why the final results of the open call will be known at the end of October, beginning of November 2023. Then we'll have, well, here in this graph, you can see that these are 2 months, but we know that with November, December, and Christmas period coming, practically there will be 1 month for signing the sub-grant agreement with Iman, Pulsate's coordinator. And then we are planning to kick off the support program in mid-January. Okay, the support program will take 3 months, so we plan to finish it in mid-April. We are finishing it in mid-April 2024. And after the support program, it's up to you how fast you will start implementing the solution you have assessed under Pulsate. Okay, if you need any help, if you have any questions, if you cannot access certain documents, we are there for you to help. So you can post your question in open call help desk space on Funding Box platform. You can send us a direct message to pulsate.help@fundingbox.com. You can also check frequently asked questions documents before you send a question to us, because maybe you'll find the answer there. And we also strongly recommend that you join the webinars and info days organized by Pulsate consortium partners. So as far as the open call webinars are concerned, today is the second one in the series. We'll have one more on the 21st of June, so closer to the open call deadline, where we'll deal with all the questions and answers you may have, and give you some final tips before the application deadline. So you will find this registration link for the third webinar also in the Get Help section, or you can use this QR code. We'll be sharing the recording of this webinar and the presentation through Pulsate social media, so it will be easily available. And I guess that's it on my side. And now we'll go on to the second part, so explaining more about the assessment support and adoption of laser-based technologies. So Tian, the floor is yours.
Great, thanks, Maria. Right, so after that introduction to the how the call works, etc., I'm now going to introduce to some of the assessment support and also adoption. I think predominantly, hopefully, this section should help you to understand or identify the benefits of actually participating in this funding call in relation to some other, funding calls that is available currently from various different funding sources. Next, please, Maria. Yeah, so I guess you'll be wondering why Pulsate, right? Why the AUC, and what is the benefit of participating this as compared to the other funding call? I think in the larger scales of things, the funding call mechanism works very similar to a lot of the other funding calls that is available. But one of the key, I would say, selling point or benefits or differentiators between us and the other funding call that is available out there at the moment is that instead of getting the money to execute the project, and in this case, it's up to 25k euros of 70% of the eligible costs. You also get, mentorship from the Pulsate Consortium throughout the lifespan of the project, and that is free. So it will come in addition to the 25k euro funding that you will be getting as part of the project. So the visibility, the mentorship that you will be getting from the consortium partners can consist of either technical or business or both. So you will be guided through the process and also through your project, and then I think that is one of the I would say, the key benefit for companies, specifically SMEs, and also in particularly for companies that has very little know-how on how laser-based manufacturing technology works, and rather than spending a lot of your time Googling, searching, etc., you will get firsthand, consultancy and experience from, very experienced engineers and consultants that has been working in the technology for a very, very long time. Next, please. Yeah, so when it comes to laser-based manufacturing processes, right, it does apply to a lot of various different sectors, as you can see on this presentation there. It ranges anything from aerospace to automotive to textile clothing, to industrial machinery, etc. And I'm not going to go into detail on each of the different sections, and I'll let you to go through it on your time. But but the general rule of thumb when it comes to adopting or applying laser-based manufacturing processes is one of the three key points on the top right hand there. Is to hopefully there is a scope to either lower the costs or improve precision, or to lower the overall, I would say, manufacturing or production costs of a particular component or the overall end product. So in order to achieve that, generally, when we were looking at potential markets and solutions that you can apply laser-based technologies, is either to replace multiple processing steps into one, because of the ability or the flexibility of the laser-based technology, which in a lot of instances could have the potential to cover, a few different range of, processing steps that you conventionally probably will have to, apply multiple different processing techniques to achieve the final end product. Or it could be the case where, with the, ability to digitize and automate the processes with lasers, you will be able to reduce the scrap rates, increase yield, or improve efficiency and productivity, and hence you manage to lower the costs. Or it could be the case where you are in a very crowded marketplace at the moment in your particular products or components, and you want to have a market differentiator, and the things that is stopping you from doing that, if it's due to the fact that the limitation of the manufacturing processes, as an example, then looking into laser-based manufacturing processes could be a potential, to either expand the manufacturability or the design, to expand the design or eliminate the design constraint due to manufacturing processes. So those are just some of the, I would say, directions or ideas or clues that you can have a think about, whatever applications or sectors that you're in, you know, where the potential gaps are, potential, I would say, you know, opportunities are that people haven't explored. But do bear in mind that because laser-based technology is not cheap, depending on what you are comparing with, but with a lot of the conventional processes, for example, you know, it often comes as, you know, a much more higher capital investment requirement. But for the scope that I've just mentioned previously, as an example, if you can replace multiple processing steps with one, so some of these cases, you know, it will make a viable business proposition. And also particularly for components that are high value in nature, these sorts of investment normally will justify and will make sense. And then obviously, you know, have to look at it on a case-by-case basis. So my advice will be, you know, other than just looking at the technical feasibility, you know, it's also very critical and important to look on the business dimension, which in this AUC, that is the whole point of it, you know, where you will get support to look at, you know, these sort of different facets and dimensions. Next, please. Yeah. So for consideration of whether you would like to, you know, do an application for the AUC, I think these are just some of the, you know, I would say few questions that you will probably want to have a think about and answer them. You know, as I think some of these has also probably has been covered by Maria in the previous slide. So, you know, obviously the first criteria is you have to see, you know, do you meet the, you know, the technology adopted criteria? So whether you're an end user or a manufacturing company, that is an SME. So if your answer is yes, then you'll have to start to think about, you know, the cases. So you can use some of the examples in the previous slides, you know, as a starting point, or, you know, to look at what are the sort of possibility within your current business. It can be an existing product that you're trying to improve, but it can also be a completely new product that you want to target a completely new market, you know, to open up more, you know, opportunity for the business. But the critical thing that you will need in order for you to, you know, proceed with the application or to hopefully excel in the application is that you will need to have some idea in terms of the need and viability. We are not asking you for a full-on, I would say, you know, market analysis. I mean, you will need some, but I mean, you know, that is sort of the whole part of the project is to go into more detail and depth in terms of the technical and the business viability. But we will at least need, you know, a good enough level of your understanding on your particular product and the market, you know, to proceed. Then finally, you know, you will need to have a think and decide what sort of support or consultancy support that you will need throughout the 3 months. So it can be either purely technical, or it can be either purely business, or it can be a mixture of both. So in the application process, you will be given the options to let us know what proportion of that it will be. But don't worry too much with that allocations on the application process. You can change at the start of the project if you decide that there are actually, you know, since the last, you know, since the applications, you have done some initial works on either the technical or the business side of things, and you think that, okay, you have made enough progress in one of them and you now want to focus your project on the other aspect, is fine. You can always make that change at the project stage. Next, please. Yep. So now I'm just going to give you some examples of how, you know, the sort of like potential projects, you know, business plan applications that you can make for this AUC application. So we're just going to take an example in terms of using laser texturing as counterfeit labeling, for some of the more high value components, as an example, potentially things like maybe for expensive wines, or even things around hip implants, etc. So the sort of scope that you can apply for is to maybe to propose an application to look at the technology landscape, the novelty of it, the actual market size and potential customer base, what's the like return of investment if you have a very specifically for your particular application and sector area. So in terms of the support that you will be getting from the mentors, it will be things around MPA analysis, network pattern analysis, to sort of look at the proposed concepts and also technologies, methods, specific methods that you want to use to do the counterfeit labeling. Well, then that can also be including things around verification methodology of your counterfeiting labeling, and then also to look at things like market analysis to identify USPs, real and pastel and all the sort of canvases, business model canvases, and we will have experienced business consultants to bring you through that and help you to break down and analyze those sort of aspects in regards to your particular applications. And obviously, last but not least, you can get support in terms of the cost benefit analysis, in terms of the capex, the return on investment, what's the market proposition, opportunity that you're trying to target, etc. So in the sort of business support project or applications, your potential output will be things around potential exploitation plan, and also recommendation for next step. You go also go into things around potential suppliers for the technology, whether if you're coming in as an end user that would want to have a counterfeit labeling for your products, we can support in looking for companies or supply chains. But if you are a company that is actually making systems to do the counterfeit labeling, then it's more of the case of if you need support in identifying, for example, supply chain for particular component for your products, or in the case where you already have a prototype ready, then you already have a supply chain, but you want to, let's say, improve the cost of the component to make your product more I would say commercially appealing to the customers to buy, and those sorts of things is also could be a potential output for the project. Next, please. Yep, and I think that it concludes that section for that. So I hope that you find that bit useful, and hope that it will help you kickstart in, scoping or, formulating your proposals. And if you have any further questions, we're more than welcome to take them now, or if not, please do post them on the application portal, where there is also Q&A and support links provided for any questions in relation to the applications, or if you want to know whether your idea and stuff is fell within scope, those sort of generic questions, you're more than welcome to ask, and we will try our best to answer. Yeah, and back to you then, Maria.
Thank you very much, Tian. Thank you. Yeah, just to comment briefly on the scope of support. As Tian said, under Pulsate, we offer both, so technology support and business support, so the exploitation plan. And under the first adopter support program, actually all companies decided to go through both. So this is the standard we are prepared to deliver to all the program participants, right? I don't know if there are any questions right now from the audience.
No.
No, nothing. Nothing at the moment. All right. So just one more reminder. We would very much like you to refer to the list of services and consultancies available on Pulsate Network website. You will find the address now in the chat box, but we'll also be sharing that together with the video recording through Pulsate's social media via LinkedIn. So I'm sure you'll be able to access that information, but this is very important for us to know how the consortium can use its resources to support you, because as Tian said, this is the essence of the support program, right? In this case. Okay, if there aren't any questions at the moment, then just a brief reminder how you can where you can apply. So this is the address of the landing page, where you'll find all the documents, all the information, registration links for the last webinar as well, the link to the submission system. And if you have any questions, please just email us at pulsate.help, or you can post a question in Pulsate open call help desk. You'll find the link through this address for the landing page. Okay, then I think that's it for this webinar. We hope to see you in the last one as well, especially if you have any questions. And thank you very much for your attention today.